Why is laughter the best medicine? Why is laughter the best medicine? Why do things have to beep when I start a live stream? These are all questions that the universe refuses to answer. Discover the surprising health benefits of humor. And we're going to be talking about how we can lower your cholesterol levels. And we're going to be dealing with that right after. Welcome, everybody. This is the Life Enthusiast Online.
I lost your sound, Scott.
I'm muted for some reason.
Okay, I hear you.
Welcome, everybody. This is the Life Enthusiast Online radio and TV network, restoring vitality to you and the planet. I'm your host, Scott Paton. Joining us, as usual, is Martin Pytela, health coach at Life Enthusiast. Hey, Martin, how are you doing today?
Full of laughter and mirth. I'm a mirthable person.
Mirthable person. Awesome. All right. So we've been talking a lot about stress, both here and in our fibromyalgia support group, which has over 128,000 members, which for most people is, oh, that's, growing. It's great. But it means that there are more and more and more people who are chronically ill, particularly in North America, Canada, the UK, and Australia. And that's the major groups that's where the most people are living. And we're here to try to fix that. It's an uphill battle because we don't have a $5 billion advertising budget like our competitors do that stick you full of stuff. But our society is full of stress. And when you're full of stress, it gives you a lot of what, Martin?
So there is this response, right? There's an input. And the input actually goes through your senses, touch, sight, smell, right? You can be smelling fire. You could be touching something sharp, like a knife going through your finger. But most times it's something that you hear or something that you see. Anyway, that input goes through amygdala, which is the little almond-shaped piece inside of your brain. And that thing says, safe, not safe, safe, not safe. If it's not safe, it goes straight into stress response. And the response is tell the adrenals to kick it up, and the hormone cortisol is released and flooding into your body to tell the autonomic nervous system to prepare to fight for your life. And it's called fight, flight, fawn, and freeze. There's the dorsal response or ventral response, or front and back, right? And the back response is best illustrated when you see a kitten taken by its scruff of the neck, either by the mother or somebody else, and just the moment you squeeze that thing at the back of the neck of this kitten, it goes limp. It just stops fighting, stops resisting, just gives in. And you can see that same thing happening when a lion takes a gazelle by the back of a neck. It goes limp and it's over. Well, that's called freeze or fawn. Fawn means that you just simply collapse or just, what's that best way? You pass out. The freeze would be you just lose ability to act.
Is what happens in horror stories, right? Like they either freeze or they run.
Right. And so that's the flight. And then, of course, if you corner somebody, they will fight, right? If you feel that you have no other option, then you fight.
Right. So yeah, if you're cornered, that we see that all the time, right?
Yeah.
So with this cortisol, what are some of the things that happen to, like, how can I tell if my cortisol levels are high? Do I have to go do a test or something?
You could. There is a saliva test, and that actually is very useful because that test is set on 4 time slots: morning, midday, mid-afternoon, evening. And the normal rate of cortisol is supposed to be high in the morning. You wake up
Oh.
ready to take the world on. So the cortisol level is somewhere up here, and then throughout the day, it's supposed to go down. But people who are dysregulated, especially with post-traumatic stress disorder, they will spike at the wrong time. They may start low in the morning, spike at noon, drop in mid-afternoon, and spike in the evening. And that feels like wired, tired, unable to sleep. So what does it feel like? Well, your blood pressure goes up, your pupils dilate, your but most blood is pushed out into periphery, so you can move more efficiently. And what shuts down is your digestion and your repairs, healing.
And you're probably not thinking very straight.
Yeah, you go from the front brain to the back brain. Yep. Yeah, for sure.
I'm not thinking too much if I'm running away from a lion. I'm just like running and trying not to run into a tree.
Yeah, that's it. I actually call it my travel brain. Whenever I travel, the morning of the trip, I no longer remember things. I have to work off of a list. Right? Like on the preparation to the trip and all of that, I make myself a list of all the things that have to happen. I make a list of things I have to do in the house, the things that have to get in the car, and all of that. And I'll just go, like, it can be just a mental tick, 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 tick. I've done that. But I no longer am able to be very creative because I'm in the go mode. Right. I know what that feels like, and I'm aware of it. Yeah.
Sounds like a lot of things are going on over there.
Oh, so I took the phones about 20 feet away, and they're still loud enough to get through.
So this is something that happens, generally speaking, when we're stressed, and our society is 24/7 stressed. So would you say most people are out of whack when it comes to their cortisol levels?
Well, let me just give you an example. So driving, for example, requires a constant attention. You need to be 360 aware. What's over here? What's half a block up? What's behind me? And so on. So you're constantly evaluating inputs all the time. Is this safe? Is this safe? Is this safe? And a lot of times it's not. Oh, something coming across, right? Instant response. So a drive, especially longer drives, are very taxing on the reserves. So when the cortisol goes up, you're not repairing. That also means that you are wearing out. You're aging faster.
I think that's a really important thing that you just said is you're not repairing. Let's take weightlifters, for example. They lift these weights to tear and break down their muscle. Then they are supposed to rest so the body can rebuild the muscle, and the muscle then is stronger, bigger, all that sort of thing. So without doing the weights and without doing the rest, we're breaking down our body like crazy. Right. And then we're never resting to be able to repair the body. And then we wonder why we have chronic disease.
Yes. There we go. So the story of cortisol, if you have nice and healthy and strong adrenals, it will supply cortisol on demand. And it's a good thing. It's a positive thing. It allows you to function in the world effectively. And then you're supposed to be able to put your gear stick out of drive into neutral and coast.
Right.
And then at night, you're supposed to put it in park and go for deep repairs.
Yeah. Deep sleep. Yeah. So when we go into that deep REM sleep, our body is really giving, the mechanics are really working on the body at that point.
Oh, absolutely. And if you don't sleep well, all you have to do is party. All you have to do is stay up. You will be hungover, alcohol or not.
Right.
Yeah.
Doesn't work. So what about things? So we've talked a little bit about fatigue. If our cortisol levels are, and this is not working right, we're going to be tired. What about weight gain? Does this?
Well, okay. So cortisol facilitates the deposits of visceral fat on the belly. That's the number one place where it likes to put it. So if you're growing a beer gut, or if you're looking pregnant, you are probably mismanaging your cortisol. And I had a really interesting story just recently. A woman called me and she said she's post-menopause, so no longer menstruating. So her hormonal levels are similar to what men have, as in no swings, no cycles. And she said that she's had problems with her glucose, blood glucose levels, heading for the diabetics. Her A1C was 5.7, which is just borderline heading for sick. And so she got a continuous glucose monitor, which is a device that it's as if you were doing the finger prick, except all the time, like every minute or something like that. And so it's built in, and it continually reports what's going on. And so she would see the spikes, and the spikes in blood glucose were happening as consequence of food, but also as consequence of stress. And then she ordered Cortisol Ease and started using it, and writes a glowing response in which the Cortisol Ease helps to manage her blood glucose. She just watches it drop soon after taking the Cortisol Ease herbal tincture. And also what happened is her HbA1c, that's HbA1c, the measure that indicates how well you're doing with your insulin and glucose management, went from 5.7 to 5.2, which is now in the healthy range. And also, she lost a whole bunch of belly fat that she was wanting to get rid of. So that tells us, A, we have a tool that helps to dissolve or get rid of the excess cortisol that's not needed. And two, when that happens, your body returns to healthy. So loses the belly weight and corrects the A1C, which is the insulin management measure.
Very, very cool. That's a great story. Just want to give a shout out to our friend George. He's here and he likes the story and he likes the analogies. Hey, George, welcome to the show. Glad to have you with us.
And by the way, it's now 3 days past Veterans Day. I certainly want to acknowledge you for having put in your measure in support of the bankers. I'm of course, I came to be a very pacifist type of a guy. I'm totally not into interfering with other countries' regimes. So I'm not a great example of, well, I'll say it differently. I will to the death support the guys who put themselves on the line, and I will to the death disagree with the guys who sent them there.
Okay, and with that, if you want to know what we really think, and we can say without being banned from wherever it is you're listening to us now, join us uncensored on Telegram at t.me/lifeandco. And we are there every Thursday answering all your questions and hopefully helping you restore vitality to yourself and to the planet. So, Martin, we're running out of time quickly as usual.
Well,
some of the long-term implications of high cortisol, it'll suppress your immune system, it'll give you digestive issues, and your memory and concentration is going to be impaired. And do you want to touch on those points?
You need to say more. You'll be fat, stupid, and sick.
There you go. So it's pretty important that you understand this.
Right. Yeah, I don't know if it's Kevin or his wife that's on there. Does it only bring down the excess cortisol? And I am using it, by the way. Well, thank you for using it. And, well, I think it's quite indiscriminate in how it works. So it will bring down whatever cortisol is happening in circulation. So only take it when needed. I suggest you don't take it in the morning and only take it in the afternoon and evening to help correct the levels. as I mentioned earlier, people who have PTSD or related troubles end up spiking at the wrong time of day. So it's at that time of day you want to take the Cortisol Ease to help bring down the cortisol level.
I really like Cortisol Ease, and I usually go through 2 or 3 bottles a year, I think, because I alternated with the Fungus Ease and one other one, and
Yeah.
I just take it. Like, I see it, I just take it, and so it doesn't make me sleep worse if I take it at the. It's just really kind of funny listening to you. This is the first time I heard, oh, this is when I should be taking it, because I'm just like, whatever time I see it and put it in my mouth is when I see it and put it in my mouth.
All right. Well, it's just follow this, right? What? Hey, look at that. George tells me that he bodyguarded Henry Kissinger in Switzerland. Well, at least you got to see Switzerland, George. I'm happy for that. Henry,
all right.
Henry of all people, like here's a guy who, well, he passed recently. He was responsible for so much mayhem in the world. Like the number of deaths that you could assign to Henry Kissinger is just astronomical. Like, it's just amazing. And he lived with it, and he felt, entitled or authorized to tell others what to do.
Yeah.
Well,
all right.
May he rest in peace.
Getting back on topic, which seems to be my job today.
Thank you, Scott.
Let's talk about some of the things that you could eat. Like, okay, so like Cortisol Ease is awesome. I love it. But if you're eating pizza and burgers and French fries and
let's talk about that, Scott. Those are excellent points. So what is the cortisol trying to do? It's trying to bring down the glucose level. What is bringing up the glucose level? Starch, number one source of glucose. So potato, rice, wheat, corn, sweet potato. What else would be high on that? Beans, probably. Those are the things that will spike you in cortisol, not cortisol. Well, in cortisol, in consequence of spiking glucose, which is followed by spiking in insulin. So yeah, remember.
So what are some foods that reduce cortisol?
Well, the opposite foods. So salad and steak.
Right. How about berries and hot chocolate?
Oh, so now we're heading into we're getting into the blissy foods. Okay,
blissy.
So anything. Yeah, it's called.
God wants permission to eat.
Anandamide is a signaling molecule of bliss, and chocolate is definitely one pathway to it. CBD from hemp is one path from it to it. What else could we find that's going to relax?
How about herbal teas?
Yeah, of course. All the calming herbs, right? Chamomile, verbena.
Yeah, like we're talking about being stressed, have these herbs so I actually just bought a ginger and turmeric tea, herbal tea.
Well, that's not calming. Ginger is a stimulant and turmeric is an antioxidant. I would suggest to you take that in the first half of the day and then get some chamomile and some kind of other calming thing in the afternoon.
Right. Well, just so everybody knows, I have no problem napping in the middle of the afternoon. And I have no problem.
Of course. You can knock yourself out with a bit of carbs anytime.
I have a slice of bread and I'm out for 2 hours. So I'm exaggerating only slightly. But
yeah, I remember when I was a young man, I was working in a sawmill, and it was hot weather, hot summer, like 100 degrees all the way until 10 o'clock. And I was needing to go to bed because I was getting up at 7 a.m. And I would need to take 2 beers and a piece of cake to knock myself out. And I would. Yeah, my knock me out food is carbohydrates. It's not for everybody, but it's for Scott and I both. Yeah.
That's really true. Yeah, I've really noticed that, particularly since I've gotten to know Martin so well, and we talk about these things all the time. It's like, and I guess this is something that I really want to share too, is take a look at what you're eating and how do you feel an hour later or 2 hours later or the next day even, right? Because if you're eating something and you're not feeling good, like I know that there's times when I eat poorly and my body aches for the whole day the next day, right? And then I think, wow, I wasn't aching and had no pains anywhere yesterday, and now I do. What's different? And then you should journal what you eat and what you drink. I don't. I
Can't make you.
I can't do it.
Take a picture. Take a picture.
Take a picture. Yes, put it in your calendar. And but the thing is that I don't eat such a wide variety of things that I can't figure out that. Oh yeah, like I had a slice of bread and a little bit of butter and some honey on it, and I was sleeping for an hour and a half. So, but yeah, like really think about what are you eating in your body? How do you feel once you've done that? And try to break the societal inclinations to feast every month to 6 weeks, because I'm so full, I can't believe I ate all that, does not help, right? And unfortunately, you have to explain to your family, I'm not having I'm not eating the same 3 dishes, right? Like not having seconds, I'm not having thirds, I'm just having ones, and take less than you think you need.
Yep.
And good old Kevin, he journals. Good for you, Kevin. You have my deepest respect.
Right? Yeah. Just yesterday, I had a very stormy bowel movement, right? Like I'm regular and all of that. And all of a sudden, after my regular comes a second one, very stormy, crampy, whatever. Like the body's really wanting to get rid of stuff. So I'm going back. Okay, so what did I do? My transit time is about 24 hours. So I always think, okay, 24 hours. What did I do? And then I'm thinking, oh, I ate a salad, and the lettuce that I ate was sort of mixed with some dirt. It wasn't clean. Whatever, right? And so I'm thinking, there I go. I got myself some new bacteria to have a little bit of a storm, right?
Right.
And so that's how you figure it out. Like you go back and analyze, what did I put into this dish and how did I get here? And by the way, there's this thing called oxalate. Oxalate is in great many things. The most density is in spinach. Unfortunately, it's also in chocolate. But anyway, many of us don't do too well with oxalates, because when they are metabolized, they turn to form these sharp little crystals. And when the crystals settle in joints, they give you arthritic pains. And if they happen to be in the kidneys, then they are very awful in the kidneys, kidney stones, right? And the trick here is that if you're going to eat spinach, you need to eat it with something that's going to neutralize the crystals of oxalates, which is calcium. So you need to get a shot of calcium citrate or something like that to modulate the horrible effect of spinach. Or do what my ancestors did, which is cook spinach with dairy, with milk or cottage cheese. Like
really?
The standard spinach dish for me was spinach stewed with cottage cheese.
I've never had that.
It's actually quite all right.
Huh. That's really cool. All right. Let's just check to see if anyone else has anything else they want to say. George, I agree with you. I'd never heard of that either. That's really cool.
Okay. Spinach and calcium. It's a better combo. Here's the reasoning. If the oxalate makes it all the way into the kidneys, it's going to marry the calcium there, and it's going to crystallize in the kidneys. what you want to do is you want it to crystallize in your gut so that you poop it out, because it becomes just gravel and it never hits the bloodstream.
Very cool. All right. Well, we've only got a couple minutes left, so I'm going to share from our little research that I did preparing for today some fun facts. And we had talked a bit at the beginning about laughter. So we're really talking about reducing stress, and laughter actually reduces cortisol. So find a comedian you like, watch them, or tell jokes and get the groans.
Yeah. Also get a dog, Scott.
Get a dog. Yeah, as you can hear, I have 2 here.
And dogs are good for health. They're the most anti-stress animals you can find.
They're absolutely amazing. You know, they rest and they relax. They come up, they want to get petted, and then one of them jumps on the bed and snuggles up beside me, and it's just automatically just all the stress just disappears.
And
I love. Go ahead.
One more thing is that what's good for cortisol is you need to work it off. And
which is the next point I was going to make, which was nature walks can drop cortisol by 20% if you go on a 20-minute walk in a park or green space.
Yeah, actually, for me, I would just after hours, I used to work in an office, I don't know, but I would go to a gym before I would head home, and I would do, 30 to 40 minutes of some kind of a high intensity combo aerobic and lifting weights and stuff like that. And it would just melt the stress of the day out of me. Get rid of that adrenaline stuff.
We sit too much. And the third one on my list, which we'll end with, is dark chocolate fights stress. So moderate amount, not 3 or 4 of these big bars from Lindt, and at least 70% cacao.
Okay, something the size of your finger is about right.
About right, yeah. Is that per day or?
Yeah. Whenever you feel like relaxing,
afternoon, evening.
When you feel like having a blissful moment.
Moderate, yeah, that's right, George. Moderate. Oh.
By the way, sex works. It's really cool.
Sex works too. Yes. So tell your honey, I'm sorry. The cortisol levels are through the roof. Honey, we've got to.
There's this problem with women. Women like to have intimate time when they are relaxed, when they have dealt with their stress. And men like to get rid of their stress by doing it. And so there's this meeting of needs that's not happening. That's
a really good point. A really interesting point. All right. So to remind you all, we're going to be moving over in 1 minute to Telegram, t.me/life&co. And Martin, by the way, is a life coach. And if you go over to Life Enthusiast, search on life coach, he will give you a free a complimentary 15-minute session where you can talk about all the things you want to talk about and get better. And so George is thanking us. Thank you, George. Appreciate you and appreciate having you with us. And with that, everybody, I don't know how many seconds we've got, but we're going to say goodbye, and we'll see you over at Telegram.